There we are. We're back.
Hello. This is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry on the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network TV and Radio's #1 singles net talk network. I couldn't read it this time. And this is Christine and Barry talking about how to be thankful while single, because this is our Thanksgiving show. So,
It is
boy, I think
indeed.
some people are concerned about being single, and maybe there aren't so many things to feel thankful about. What do you think, Barry?
Well, the first thought that came up to me was some people actually will be thankful that they're not in a relationship. Because, I mean, we can definitely have like a whole list of like the reason, being single, there's good reasons because you're not in a relationship. Also, there are good reasons to be single because you are being single. It's like there's an anti and there's like two opposites. So I think the first thing I'll start with, just to put on the table, is and this is an American thing because being from England, we didn't have Thanksgiving growing up. So the gift of being single at Thanksgiving is you're not going to deal with your in-laws or your partner's parents and family that maybe they're a little crazy, So there's a benefit to being single that can work as a avoidance thing. So I'll put that on the table first. There's other things we'll talk about. I want to throw that because it's just fun to talk about right up front.
Yeah, because boy, my birth family, Thanksgivings were pretty crazy and not in a good way, just not in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of fun to discover that I could have Thanksgivings that were in a nice way. So the family that part of the family that I hang out with now, we have lovely Thanksgivings, but they were not fun. And it was hard to bring somebody because I'd warn them ahead of time. There was a Holly Hunter movie called Home for the Holidays, and I went with a bunch of friends to go see it. And then we went out after to have like dessert or something. And they're all like, oh my God, that was all crazy. That never happens. I went, oh yeah, all that. At some point in my lifetime, every one of those things happened at Thanksgiving. It was crazy. So yeah, I mean, that's a really good thing to think. You don't have to spend it with your family. You don't have to spend it with another person's family, which doesn't always push your buttons as much, but it can be just annoying to be with people that are loud or impolite or drink too much or, all the things that could be really a problem. And it does often heighten whatever your feelings are already. So if you're feeling good with people, you'll probably feel more. And if you don't feel good with people, you'll probably feel more. It is part of the challenge that we get kind of ramped up about holidays.
This is one of the things, because, and the other thing is, I mean, this is not necessarily what to be thankful, but just to put it on the table too, because it does come up with a conversation about Thanksgiving, is when you go home and see family and you are single, there's the thing from the uncle or the aunt that goes, why aren't you married yet? Why aren't you in a relationship? Why are you single, sort of thing. So how to be thankful in that moment, because that's going to be a question that shows up once in a while too, is you sit with the place of just going, because I'm living the life I want to live my way. I mean, and you don't have to do it, you don't have to like, defend yourself or tell them it's like, I haven't found the right person or they dumped me or whatever those things. You just simply say, I'm living the life I want to live my way. Because when you're single, ideally, that's what you're doing.
Because that's how you're going to meet, if you want to meet somebody, when you're living your best life with space to include friends and activities and places to give back and also places to receive from another person. That's often when things happen the best. People say, oh, it happens when you're not trying. You're not trying to specifically date. You are working at living your best life. And if you really could say that to a relative, I am just living my best life. And, I run into lots of people and we'll see if I meet my person. And I'm really content right now. I'm really happy with what I'm doing or not doing, because there's some things you wouldn't be doing that'll make you happy. So
yes,
it is a hard thing to come up against those relatives. Yeah, I've certainly had those conversations too. It was very difficult. So the idea is to get content with yourself.
Well, so I just want to jump in one quick thing, because as you were saying that, what I was thinking to myself was like, we covered that in other conversations. So in case you're not sure how to be living your best life when you're at home with your family, we have plenty of episodes we've recorded before. Just go through the titles and find the ones talked about how to be a happy single. So we covered this. Anyway, sorry, back to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, another reason to go binge on our podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the two sides of the coin of being thankful while you're single is, what is the benefits of being single? And then what are the benefits to not being in a relationship? I mean, I think those are really different things. That's two sides of the same coin. And you alluded to that, so I thought I would just say that out loud. So I think that this could be really helpful for people, because not being in a relationship can be sad and disappointing and lonely, for sure. I mean, say that out loud. If you'd really rather be in a relationship and you're not, yeah, there's all those things. And you're not in a bad relationship. You're not in a relationship that's
Right.
dragging you down or making you sad, or you're having to not be your authentic self. So that's how you have to keep looking at, yes, there's some sucky parts about it if you'd really rather be with somebody. And then it's better than being with the wrong person, because we're going to talk about what it's
Absolutely.
like, if you're going to now look for the right person, but first really get clear about what is good about not being with somebody. What are the benefits? You can be independent. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to answer to anybody. You can have scrambled eggs for dinner. You can go on a vacation at the top of a hat. That was my mom's big thing. When my dad would work late, I knew we'd have bacon and scrambled eggs for dinner. Or pancakes. It was, I know, the things you remember from being a kid. So to think about it that way, to be sad and then turn it around to what's the positive, right?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the things that, and I know it's tempting around the holidays, especially like Thanksgiving, Christmas, that you want to be in a relationship because it feels better that way. But if you're actually in the completion phase of getting out of a relationship, you need time to basically to grieve, to be with yourself. And frankly, the holidays can be a good time to basically, in a way, sort of to nest and nurture yourself and to be in that place where you have compassion and care for yourself, so you can feel more whole again. Because one of the challenges that single people do, and we talked about this in a previous episode somewhere, is that you're moving from one relationship to the next relationship, but there's nothing in between. And so one of the things about being single is a great time to work on yourself and to do the inner cleaning and the inner cleansing, so to speak, of all that past stuff that's come up since you broke up. Because we carry wounds from past relationships. So having time to be able to heal those wounds is one of the smartest things you can do. So that's another reason why it's good to be single for a period of time.
And another is, while you're healing and getting yourself feeling better, you can look at other people who maybe they have a little bit worse life than you do, and you have a little more time now to go give back to them, which will then help heal your heart too, that when you're giving back, you're getting satisfaction and good feelings and feeling like you're helping, and that it makes you feel even a more worthwhile person. And it's certainly, you're allowed to compare that your life is better than whatever it is you're helping with. Not quite so bad as you were saying. There's this other part that's pretty good, that you now have something to actually give back to another person. I think that can really turn around the thankful part, don't you think?
Absolutely. And I mean, frankly, I've done this gratitude practice for years when I talk about with clients about how you can spend time just being thankful over the most mundane things. But if you're practicing something like your gratitude practice every day, where you are, say, in the morning or the evening, like come up with 3, 4, 5 things that you're grateful for that happened that day, whether it's just you got out of bed on time, or you exercised, or you didn't have a fight with somebody, or you did something else. It's like whatever those things are that you are fueling your self-respect or self-joy is something that is really useful. So the gratitude piece, in terms of being how to be thankful being single, which is the title, that one key piece is, what do you do in being thankful? Because you might be saying, well, I'm just being thankful because I'm grateful I'm single. It's like, well, yeah, but what else are you going? Are you enjoying social life? Are you happily looking, enjoying the dating apps? I mean, literally anything can fit under the gratitude umbrella. Maybe you want to make a discipline of doing that every day, and especially on days where you don't feel up, you'll have the list to reflect on, to go, oh yeah, things are good. So make a list.
I think a gratitude list is really helpful. And also to think between now and the end of the year, what one new thing that I could do that I'd feel really grateful that I did it. I signed up for a class for next year, or I started walking a little bit farther one day, or I reached out to a friend that I hadn't talked to in a while. That to make some sort of a goal that you will feel really glad that you did it between now and December 31st. I mean, that's a really short amount of time. We're already into November. Just come up with something that you go, I'm going to do it sometime. I'm going to put it on the calendar, December 10th. I'm going to do it then. And then I'm going to feel really good for the rest of the year that I did that. And then think about for the next year, what things you would add so that you would feel thankful that you're able to do it. Thankful that you accomplished something. You know, you're going to clean out your garage, or you're going to sign up for a trip. You're going to do something that you have to look forward to. I think that can help you feel thankful as well. And that's something, if you're single, you get to make your own plans.
One of those other benefits, and that's, I want to actually support that, is, I think it's a great idea, is that you could set up things that you've always wanted to do that you never did when you were in a relationship, so you can now do when you're single. I mean, one of my favorite things to do, frankly, is to take myself out to the movies. I like going, because I go on my own schedule. I choose a movie I want to see that my partner wouldn't, if I was in a relationship, maybe we wouldn't want to go see.
Yeah.
So to have that freedom is, and of course, if I'm in a relationship, I'll be times where I say, you know what, honey, I'm going to go see the movie. You do what you want to do. I'm going to do my own thing. Obviously, that works too. But when you're single, take advantage of that. You've got time to be with yourself. Now, of course, some people have a hard time being on their own, like being solo out in the world, doing things like taking themselves out to dinner or to a movie or socially, some other thing. I've had practice doing it because I've been single for a long time. And it's actually a wonderful gift, because it's nice in a way to say, you know what, I can arrive when I want, I can leave when I want, I can hang out with the right people if I want to, you know, it's like all things I can do because I don't need someone else to make decisions with. Yes, there are things in a relationship that are wonderful to do when you do make decisions together, but when you're single, why not take advantage of that and enjoy the fact that you don't have to answer to anybody, that you make decisions for yourself.
And at the movies, you get to eat all the popcorn.
Indeed.
You don't have to share. So the other thing is that you now have a chance to go meet people that maybe the partner that you were with before didn't like that kind of activity, like join pickleball or join a book club or take a dance class. And then who knows who you'll meet. You'll meet other people that are enjoying the same thing as single people, and then ask them what other single things they do as single people. And you're thankful because you now are making your own schedule and you can go whenever and wherever you want. It's really one of the big benefits. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So another way to think about being single and being thankful about it is that you now have an opportunity to think differently. I think when people concentrate too much on dating and looking at finding a partner, we get a little narrow and we don't broaden our thinking about, well, what do I really think about that? What do I think about the election that just happened? Or what do I think about the world situation? Or what do I think about this thing that's happening in my community? That sometimes you can't even think about that because you're so enmeshed in, but I can only go to a place where there's other single people and dating, where you now could get involved in your city government, or you could now get involved in a cause, you know, like you do your food and I do my horse stuff. I mean, it would be a little cumbersome sometimes if we were in a relationship. So as long as we're single, I'm very grateful that I can just go donate a bunch of time. You know, the only people I answer to is my clients, but they put their stuff on my calendar and I work my volunteer around it. And that I do something without having to feel guilty or to have to feel like I'm taking something away from another person. So that's another way to feel thankful while you're single, don't you think?
I think it is. And I mean, I speak from the point of view of what I do with volunteering, because it was there's a group activity, a bunch of us get together and we do this whole food distribution project every Saturday. It's like, I would think that if I'm going to be in a relationship, I want to invite her to come join me, because some friends of mine, they come as couples, because it doesn't detract from the relationship. In fact, if you serve together, it tends to add to the relationship. So if you're single, this is a great time to explore special place where you can serve, whether it is working with animals in the animal shelter or feeding the homeless, whatever it is. You can explore different things that work for you personally. One, because then when you have a relationship, you can invite them to join you. We can have fun serving together. But secondly, you might meet somebody who's already doing it there anyway. So I'm not saying, because we talked about this in other shows about where you can meet somebody. But the truth is that once you're single, because again, you don't, as you said, and I said as well, you don't have any parameters where you're required to do things a certain way. You can explore different things. Solo traveling is a good thing, especially if you plan it right and do it safely. Maybe you want to get in the car and go up the coast or something, or maybe you want to get a flight and go to another country. There's things you can do when you're single, which, in some ways can be better in a relationship, but sometimes they're so much easier when you're single. So why not find things that your singlehood makes easier for you to do?
Easier. That's a very good goal, because I think it, as somebody who's been single a bunch of times in my life, for long times in my life, yeah, there's a lot to do when it's just you. And so thinking about how to make it easier, how to involve other people. I mean, it's really been helpful to gather friends together to do a project that I normally wouldn't necessarily do if I was in a relationship, that I got a chance to really accomplish something with a bunch of like-minded people. So that it's made me get even more clear about, I don't have to do everything all the time all by myself. Even if I'm not in a relationship, I can gather friends. I can join a group where they're doing projects that I am happy with. And it's very helpful to not get sucked into but I have to do everything myself. It pushes us out of that zone of, oh dear, it's too hard, right? I think it's
Yeah.
helpful. That should be one of the things that you emphasize when you're single, of how do I keep involved?
It's also in a way a great thing. So it's like, oh dear, I'm single. It's like, oh great, I'm single. It's just the momentum, because it puts you in the energy of playfulness. And I love the fact, in some ways, and I know that I'm not going to regret it when I do get in a relationship, but I love the fact that I can do whatever I want when I want to. So, jump in the car and go do some errands, like, always based on my calendar with my clients, I can look around that. But it also means I get to socialize and connect with people that may not have otherwise have done. And the thing about relationship is it can, in its most wonderful way, be a wonderful, fulfilling experience and everything else. At the same time, when you are single, you can be connecting with people you wouldn't otherwise connect with, because you're not constrained by a relationship.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
we're looking on, basically saying the grass is green on both sides.
Yes, because certainly, if it's your goal to be in a relationship, you will be happy. We've been in relationships. We've talked about it. It's very fulfilling. And during the time when you're single, which can feel harder in the holiday time, it just can.
Yeah.
It's cold and you want to cuddle with somebody, and oh my gosh, you're going to go do the family thing, and they're going to say, oh, you're still single. I mean, there's challenges about it. So that's why we want to do this show, to teach you how to come out of it in the most positive way possible. Because there are some positive things about being a single person. You and I both talked about how the long periods of time that we've been single, and how there are some real benefits to it. There really are. And so the other part of the benefit is you really get to know yourself. You really have to think about, what does make me happy, and how do I motivate myself, and what will get me out of the house. And I can't be dependent on somebody else going, oh, let's go to the movies, or oh, let's go out to dinner. You need to make some of your own plans and think, well, what would I do on my own? And it's an adjustment when you've been in a relationship to go, what do I want to do? And how do I get started on it? But Meetup is the perfect place to look. Just put your zip code in and look at things that pique your interest, of something you already like doing or have never thought about doing, and you're going to go try it, because it gives you a little kick in the behind to go get yourself out there.
Absolutely. There's things I want to speak on that, because the thing that's really there's an opportunity when you're being single, and it is that chance to get to know yourself better, as you were saying. And I want to underscore that more, because when we're in a relationship, and we talked in, again, other episodes about there was the codependency and interdependency, and the independent piece in the middle, is when you're single, it's a good time to start breaking those codependent traits that we may have been carrying for generations and years. So there's a value in being single and enjoying yourself by being single that can give a lot of gratitude. So that when you do get into a relationship, you look back what you've been through when you were single intentionally, to create a healthy relationship with yourself that makes your next relationship so much more amazing and powerful and thriving. And so there's a gift you give yourself when you are single, to really look in the mirror and get to know who this person is, that maybe you haven't really noticed before, because you've always been looking at relationship externally, and which is, frankly, the trait most people carry, because they're mostly codependent. So this is a shift of awareness, a shift of way of being. So something to think about.
Some of the very important conversations you can have with yourself. It's really helpful. What are you thinking today, and how are you feeling today? And is that okay with you? And is there something you need different? Because I think one of the things that was extra hard about COVID is people plopped on their couches. And I think they got
Yeah.
even more sad about not having somebody to plop on their couch with. So it's now almost 2025. So figure out how to get yourself out so that you can feel happier and more content and more thankful about being single. And we'll
In
talk
fact, we'll
about
get
it
into
more
that.
when we, sorry, I
I was
know.
going to jump
You're
in. You
so
already got it. So we'll talk about it after we get back from the break.
perfect. We're so funny.
Yep.
Hello,
We're back.
this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry, and we're talking about how to be thankful while you're single.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, we talked about how people can feel kind of down in the dumps about being single any time of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and certainly around the holidays. So figuring out ways to feel thankful for, as long as you are at this moment, or you're single, there's not a love in your life at the moment. How can you feel the best about it? I mean, it's helpful to not just sit around and be sad and depressed, because that's a terrible way to feel. And the world looks like a worse place then. And if you really do want to eventually meet somebody, coming from that spot isn't very helpful.
Right. That's one reason why I love the idea of doing service projects and things that make a difference in other people's lives. Because if you are single and feeling a bit like moping around going, I wish I was in a relationship and I'm not feeling happy, it's like one of the biggest things I had to a friend of mine do this. I dragged a brother of a friend of mine to the service thing I do on Saturdays. And it was something he was going through some stuff. And I know it added to his life. So he was a lot happier and feel better. I mean, how long it lasted, I don't know. But at the end of the time, he spent in the morning, you know, in the afternoon doing the work, you know, his demeanor shifted, his changed. Yes, we're tired and we're aching from doing the work, but there's a lightness, there's a sense of joy and thankfulness that shows up. So if you want something to give you a reason to be thankful, get out and do something of service somewhere. Frankly, for women especially, well, don't say that, but definitely women enjoy this. But going playing with animals, you know, at the animal shelter is such a joyful, uplifting, and tender thing to do. They can really give you a sense of the loving that maybe you thought you needed somebody else for. So opportunities abound.
I have 2 clients that volunteer at foster places to keep socializing the kittens and the puppies, because they want them to be really social and want to jump in people's laps so that they'll get adopted. And I'm like, well, that's a nice job to have. You have to play with kittens and you have to play with puppies and not take them home, because that's a hard thing too. And they said almost no matter what's going on, because they're both widowed people, what's going on in their day, they feel better when they're there and they feel better when they leave. And I know that's how you feel with your food program. And that's how I feel with the horses when I've cleaned their stalls and had a chance to cuddle with them. It just lifts my mood. I don't have to do anything else but that. I mean, there's some conscious things that we're talking about doing. Just go spend time with an animal if that's your thing, or,
Yeah.
you know, at a service project of somehow. First, it gets you out of yourself and seeing they can't do this for themselves. You're there helping be of service. And how can, I mean, I think you'd have to work at having not make you feel better. It just does.
I don't want to challenge anybody to this, but but part of me
Okay,
goes,
go for it.
you know, if you show me how you can't be happy after doing it. Yeah, no, it is something I've seen pretty much all the time. People feel, you know, especially when if you do some service to somebody who's less well off than you are, it's almost automatic that you feel grateful to be who you are and what you have in your life. Because especially if you're sitting in life going, you know, I don't feel as good because I don't have the relationship, or I don't have the right job at the moment, or whatever it is you're complaining about. If you do some service to somebody who is needy, again, it's a homeless person or it's animals or whatever it is, part of you's going to go, hang on a second, I'm better off than I thought I was. And you can use that as a leverage to get yourself up again, back to being grateful.
Yeah, I remember there was an experiment. You're going to know, or somebody's going to know the particulars, but they had people say, oh, I admire this person's life. You know, theirs is so much better. And then they really learned not so much. You really don't know what's going on inside of somebody else's four walls. So to figure out how to be more grateful, more satisfied, more thankful about your life as a single person for this particular subject is valuable. It's so valuable because there's always people, if you take each category, better or worse than you. Overall, you wouldn't necessarily want somebody else's life, no matter how it looked, because you're not seeing everything. You just are not. So
Right.
that kind of envy is very, well, that kills thankfulness. I mean, you really can't be thankful if you're busy envying somebody else's life, because then you're going to get
Right.
resentful about their life and your life. So just know you're not seeing the whole picture. Figure out how to make yours even better.
That is a great assignment, great homework, because it's the thing the thing again about being single is some people just think about it just it's the gap between relationships. And my thing is, like, if you're following us when you watch our shows, hopefully for more than a few, or listen to our podcast, we talk about how to improve and be better partners in relationships. That's why we do our shows, to help you be a better partner. So when you're single, is a great time to practice and implement those things we talked about, things we teach you, and to look at ways you can make your life more whole, more healthy, more successful. Just one that came to mind was talking about the attachment styles way back, which was probably about 8 months ago. The attachment styles, which is a great book for it, if you want to read the book called Attached. But the idea of if you're somebody who's defaulting into anxious attachment or into avoidant attachment, you can change. Because the thing is, those attachment styles aren't forever. They may be defaulting, but that's because you don't know any better. But if you simply chose, okay, I've been avoidant and been having challenging relationship, let me find out how to be secure in my attachment style so I can be good in relationship. Or if you were anxious, same thing, you can be more secure. So the things we talked about in our previous shows could frankly, and I'm promoting binging our shows, but there's so much content that we have provided for you over the last couple of years, 4 years, that would help you be a better partner. So if you're single, wouldn't it be a good time to practice those things? So when you get into a relationship, they actually thrive and you actually have what you want, then you'll be really thankful.
So true. And you hear so many people saying, I'm working on myself, or I need to work on myself. Yes, Gary and I are huge fans of that. So figure out what thing hasn't worked in your last relationships, or was really hard in your family growing up, or hard at jobs. Look at what was hard for you about them, or maybe what was hard for them about you. And figure out, what would you do to work on that? Would you take a class? Would you hire a coach? Would you go to therapy? Would you read a book? Would you take an online quiz? Be proactive about working on yourself. Because oftentimes people tell me that they're working on themselves, and I go, great, what does that mean? And they can't tell me. Or they tell me they want something to be different. I go, that sounds like a great goal. What are you going to do different? I don't know. But it's great, because then you and I can certainly help them with that. If you're going to, if you say, I'm unhappy with this, then, and I want to work on myself, then come up with a plan. One thing, what's the next thing you're going to do to work on that thing that you are too shy, or you are socially awkward, or you only attract people that won't make a commitment, or you can't find friends, or your friends are all mean. I mean, we all have our stuff. It was implanted when we were growing up, and we didn't have any wherewithal to say, no, that doesn't fit me. As a grown-ass adult, you can make choices now to say, yeah, this doesn't work for me anymore. How do I uninstall it and install something different? Or how do I just tweak it and make it different? I mean, that's truly the working on yourself part, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That working itself is not just lip service; it's actually doing something about it.
So do something, right? Action.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And just speak a bit more is the thing is, I mean, we're giving lots of reasons why you should be thankful while you're single, because again, as some people have been choosing to be, and I did it for a while period too when I was in between relationships, will feel like they're moping around, just feeling like, hard done by, not happy, not getting what you want. It's like, hang on a second. You have an opportunity. You've got time to be with yourself. What do you want to do with that time? If you can sit there, just sit in the corner and mope, or just veg and watch, TV for hours a day, why not dig out some books that might help you understand yourself better, or go do activities, go to the gym and exercise. There are so many things that we can do for ourselves that aren't expensive or aren't requiring other people, that can help you be better physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. How is your meditation practice? How was your physical exercise? How comfortable are you in your body? Are you stretching? Are you doing yoga? There's some things you can do. Again, as I said before, those activities you do out in the world might end up having you meet somebody when you're doing those things. So I'm not saying do it as a means to an end. Do it as a means for yourself. And the side benefit might be you make some new friends. And yes, maybe with a new dance partner. So get out and do stuff. And dance class is another one.
Oh, dance classes are great because you get a chance to dance with a whole bunch of different people, both men and women. They work it out. If there's not enough of one or the other that have joined the class, they bring in teachers, which is so fun because you feel like such a great dancer if you dance with a teacher because they make you look really good. No, they never let you step on their toes and they don't step on yours. And so you get a chance to dance with a whole bunch of different people. So you learn, oh, I like this. I don't like that. That's really comfortable. That's not. And you're all learning. So you all feel dumb at the same time. And then often there's open dancing after where you can now practice. You go back to the people that you felt the most comfortable with, practice with them. Nothing more needs to ever happen. But how great that you had an opportunity to come do this. You didn't have anybody that you needed to get home to. You could stay and dance for a while. And then maybe, everybody that happens a lot where people just go out for a drink after or dessert to talk about the dance class. I mean, people make friends, not always just romantic, but friends. And so dance classes are great. The other thing is fun is a cooking class. When you go and learn how to make and they pair you up, and if there's men and women, they pair them. And you learn how to cook something fun and you all sit around and eat it afterwards. And it's going to be generally pretty good because the teacher is helping you. Cooking classes are a blast. And a lot of restaurants give them, colleges that have a cooking program give them. Super fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a cooking school. Not just two I know of. One near me, one is about a few miles away as well. So definitely there are opportunities to go. Again, it's like you're improving your own skills of being a single person that can bring into a relationship. It's like when you go vocational training between jobs to be better in your next job. Why not do the same thing for relationships? So those opportunities you have when you're single are abundant. And definitely to put yourself in a place of what can I learn? How can I thrive? What can I make myself good at? You could have so much fun with that. And frankly, you'd be so thankful after doing each one of those things. You become a whole different person. Plus, when you go on dates, having decided to start dating again, you got stuff to talk about. You got more pages in your book now than you had before. So there's reasons
to be interesting and passionate, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing is, and of course, if you have learned dancing or cooking, those skills are transferable into a relationship and dating. So why not?
Women like men that can cook and dance. That seems to be a high priority to them. One of my very favorite movies was Auntie Mame with Rosalind Russell. And one of the things she said was, life is a banquet and most poor schmucks are starving to death. So if you can look at the gifts of being single, there's a lot of opportunities when you're single. Not to put down a relationship at all, but once you're single, then what could be the opportunities? They're out there, they're available. There's so many things to do to get you up off your couch. And so look for them because you'll feel better about your life. You'll feel better as a person because you're out and about and doing things. And especially if you're giving something that you're now getting back from. And you'll have more things to talk about with people in general about, oh my gosh, I just started this new thing and it's so exciting. And is it something you might be interested in? Get your friends involved. And it's amazing how really grateful it's like that's the grateful gene, that when you start doing that kind of stuff, you just start feeling more grateful. And the other thing I decided I was going to say out loud about this, being a widow person, as you're grateful, single or not, you woke up today. There's a lot of people that didn't get that choice. And I need to say that because you don't think about it. You really don't. And I don't want you to think about it every day. I do want you to think they would have liked to have had this day to go, what could they have done? Please go do something lovely. Maybe in the memory of somebody, you could do that. If that's going to help you get out the door, that's a good incentive. They would have liked if I did this, or they would have liked to have been able to do this. I'm going to go do it. And I think that could be a helpful incentive. My downer of the conversation today.
Well, I was going a different angle with it. Basically, is that we sometimes overlook the simple things we can be grateful for. So waking up today is something to be grateful for. Being able to breathe fully is something to be grateful for. Being able to sit down and meditate for 10 minutes, giving me grateful for. Not that you meditated, but you have the ability to do so. So there's a list of things that you could be writing about, as mentioned early on, about writing down things you're grateful for.
Yeah.
That the simplest things, having food you can cook with, if you cook, or having the money to go to a restaurant. I mean, there's some little things you can say, I'm grateful for that, because we oftentimes overlook those opportunities to be grateful. And frankly, as I said earlier, gratitude practice is a great thing to have, because first of all, it makes you a different person. It makes you happier. It makes you lighter. It makes you appreciate life. And frankly, that's an attractive quality. So all these things we're teaching you, frankly, are setting up for better dating as well. So why not do these things?
Because that's your ultimate goal, probably, for listening and watching, is to get in a happy relationship and to date successfully. To do that, well, this is a big step of it. Everyone wants to skip this step. Oh, I'll do all those things when I'm in a relationship. It doesn't often work that way. I love how you make that face, because it's so the truth. How many people think that?
I used to say it all the time. It's like when I get in a relationship, then I'm just like, was I kidding?
Yeah.
I know
it's kind of normal human thing, though, to think that.
Yeah.
So to just do stuff that makes you happy, do stuff that makes other people happy. Look for things that make you happy, that you, and appreciate that you're doing it this way today, at this time, because you're single. Not because you're not in a relationship, but because you're single. That if there's a positive reason for getting to do this, because you can make your own life in any way you want, your own time, your own schedule, you want to chat with somebody at an event, or you want to chat with somebody at the grocery store. Have at it. You meet an interesting person, you want to chat with them. It's one of the gifts of being single.
Absolutely. Again, there's a freedom you have, as we talked about before, that you can do things any way you want when you're single. That gives you such a sense. And if it's something people overlook oftentimes, because they're so busy looking to be in a relationship, be in love. They're almost like, I don't want to be single. It's almost like they're backing away from it. They want to avoid it. They don't want to deal with it. And the reality is that there's an opportunity to play with this and have fun with it. We're giving you a smorgasbord of things to play with in this episode. That'll give you keys that you can spend months becoming better at learning how to do things with. So recognize that being single is a great place to be grateful, because you're getting to do things that you maybe never done before. So value the time you have with yourself.
Yes, it makes me think about when we were kids and we'd be going to school and we're like, oh, I wish I could do this and I wish I could do that, but I have to go to school and do homework and stuff. And my mom would say, write it down, because in the summer we forget. So if we wrote it down, we're like, oh yeah, those are all the things I wanted to do in the summer. But if we didn't write it down, we wouldn't have appreciated. So now you get to think of what are all the cool things I'm doing while I'm single, because I'll be doing great when I'm in a relationship. And it's really good now. It's really good now. That's a great mind shift, right?
Yeah. And to do it, I mean, like I said, gratitude practice doing every day is like that simple step of making a note, writing it down, tracking what you've done. It builds slowly, surely, but it builds a massive accumulation of things you're grateful for. So yeah, definitely do those things.
Okay, so if this has piqued your interest at all, if you're thinking, I'm not sure how to do that, or wow, I'd really like some more ideas, or I'd like to bounce some ideas that would really just work for you specifically to help you feel thankful that you're single at this particular time of year, Perry and I'd be happy to help you. Absolutely. So the easiest way to reach me is to go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. And I came up with that name because you learn how to be the perfect catch, and then you'll attract the perfect catch. So this is a good baseline conversation today. So the way to reach me through my website is to scroll down where it says, what's holding you back from love questionnaire. Click on that. There's 10 brief questions that talk about where you are and where you'd like to be. And then you'll have access to my calendar to make a conversation with me for free at your convenience. You can also join my mailing list through my website, and you'll get a repeat of this podcast every week through my newsletter. And then you'll also keep updated with what I'm doing in my life. And if you scroll to the bottom of that homepage, you'll find all my social media links of Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube. And I remembered them all this time. You can also send me a personal email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com. And how do people reach you, Barry?
I'm almost stunned. You just did so well.
I
I
know.
shouldn't say that one.
I know.
You're good.
I'm fine.
Yes. So, like Christine, I have a bunch of things you can reach me at. So my website is my name, so easy to find. It's barryselby.com. My site got redesigned a while ago, and it's finally up and running perfectly. So it looks really good as of about 2 weeks ago. I want you to mention about that in a moment. Anyway, so my site has some great things on the homepage. One of which is an opportunity to have a discussion with me, which at the top is a button that says "Let's Chat." Click on that, it takes you to my calendar, and then it gives you a little questionnaire to fill out, which will basically give you some things to think about, and also help me figure out where you are, so we can see what we're going to do together. And then you can get on the calendar and we can have a conversation. At the bottom of the homepage, there is a box. That's why I put it in a box. There's simply a chance to opt into my email list, so that we can get my emails every week, which is the replay of the show, as well as all the other things I'm doing in my life and all the other things I'm offering, which I'll talk about in a second as well. In the middle of the screen is it's actually my newest, because I'm making something else brewing. I'll tell you about that in a second too. So much stuff going on. But basically, in the middle of the screen is a link to my quiz, which is a relationship readiness assessment. And you go directly to it if you go to barryselby.com/quiz, but there is a button in the middle of the screen on the homepage to take you there as well. That quiz is a self-assessment. It really is a chance for you to look at yourself and answer these questions that I provided for you that will give you a chance to see where you're doing great and when you're not doing not so great. And if you're single, good thing to do. At the end of it, you'll get a summary report and an email, which will tell you like where you are and what your evaluation is, so to speak. And then you can reach out to me if you want to chat about that too. So I want to quickly tell a couple of things. On the book page, I want to share this little thing. My website has a bunch of things on, including my book, which you can get on Amazon. But on the book page on my site, which is barryselby.com/book, I just uploaded a couple of days ago. This is the fun of AI. A friend of mine turned me onto this application where I can actually have an AI look at my book, went through my whole book, and then created a 12-minute, I think it is, discussion between two hosts, which are artificially generated, two voices, a male and female voice, that talk about my book and my work. And they're damn accurate. So if you want to go to that page on my website, right below the top, there's a little player. You can play on it and listen to it. And again, it's generated by AI, but it's really accurate. So enjoy if you wanted to get a preview of my book. So anyway, besides that, you can find me all over social media under my name, which is Barry Selby. So I'm Barry Selby on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter, and on Instagram and Threads. It's the real Barry Selby, because my original account got hacked. So you find me all over the place like that. And if you want to reach out to me directly, you can send me an email at barryselby.com.
And we're live every Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern, and all the times in between. So you can watch us live and submit questions. We're happy to answer them while we're live and doing our podcast. You can also go see us, watch us on TV, on Roku and Apple TV. And then you can also listen to us, right, Barry?
Absolutely. And of course, you definitely subscribe and share us out and all the usual stuff with our videos, but definitely with our audios too. You can subscribe to our podcast, because we have it available on Apple Podcasts, on Amazon, and on Spotify. I'll Spotify for a second. So those platforms have all our podcasts on them. You can also subscribe to any of those, and you can definitely bookmark them. Some you can even download, but definitely you can share them out to your friends, because frankly, it may not be you dealing with this, but somebody probably is. So share us out with your people. We'll help you.
And if you have any comments about what we've talked about, or questions that you'd like us to answer in the future, you have subjects you'd like us to talk about, we'd love to hear that too. So hope you have a happy Thanksgiving with whoever it is you spend it with. And we'll see you again next week.
Take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.
Bye.